Hi, I'm Walker&Williams, and today I'm doing a short video on Dogecoin. Why? Because at the moment it's everywhere. It's really been breaking some ceilings and the price is going up and up and up. Now there's now people Googling and talking about it going to $1, $10, $100, $1 million. And I just wanted to make a quick video for the good people who watch my videos and subscribe as a little warning. I don't want to take away from the fun that everyone's having, but I also don't want to see you lose your shirt. So, Dogecoin, I was going to do a whole history on it, the founders, and fill the board like I normally do with all the facts and figures of this coin. If you look at the board, you'll notice that the board is quite empty because I believe that this coin is just as empty too. So really, there's only two things I want to talk about with Dogecoin. We all know that it was set up as a, well, not as a joke, but they say as a joke, you know, with no real purpose. It's got no niche in the market other than a few people online using it to tip other people, celebrities and things, and influencers and that sort of stuff online. They use it to send. There's been a couple of auctions on Reddit with it. It started as like a sort of like as a clique on Reddit with guys getting behind it and all the sort of geeks on Reddit, you know, pushing it up, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. But it's now taken on a life of its own, and we have seen this before many times in history, most notably during the tulip mania of 1637 to 1638, and I'll get to that in 1 second. And I'm just cautious, and I don't want you to be the greatest fool, which is the greater fool theory. I don't want you to be the greatest fool. I'm going to explain that dead quick. Assume that I'm right for a second and that Dogecoin has got nothing really special or unique or scalable or any of that behind it. So what's happening? A few guys on the internet have got behind this coin, a bit of a cult following, and then it's grown and grown and grown. And then the ultimate sort of Reddit guy would be Elon Musk, and he's tweeted about it, and then it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So Elon Musk, with his 50 million, 500 million followers, whatever it is, has said, this is going to the moon, and then people have piled into it. And because people have piled into it, the price has gone up. Because the price has gone up, more people have bought into it. More people have bought into it, the price has gone up. There are loads and loads and loads of cryptocurrencies that are far cheaper and far undervalued than this coin that do much better stuff. Even do what Dogecoin is supposed to do better. So the tulip mania, what was it? So in 1637, November the 12th, a tulip, so the flower, a tulip bulb, the actual, you know, the seed, if you like, you know, but it's not a seed, it's a bulb, the seed to grow the flower, they were selling for about 3 guilders. And what used to happen is they were imported and people would pay for the price. They didn't want the price to fluctuate. So let's say you said, right, I want some tulips next year. How much is the price? Right, it's 3 guilders. Okay, I'll pay 3 guilders and I promise to pay that when they get here in 6 months' time. So what that is called a futures contract. You promise to pay the price at 6 months' time. It's a set price at a set date. The seller of the tulips agrees to sell those tulip bulbs to you for that set price at that set time, and you have a contract. A futures contract, a contract for something in the future that hasn't happened yet, and it's a futures price. What's in it for the seller? Well, he knows that he's guaranteed to get that money. So if the price of tulips goes down a little bit, and at the time when that 6 months comes to the end, he can win because tulips today are selling for 2 quid. But you've promised to give me 3 quid. So he's making money on them and he's happy to do that. And what's in it for the buyer? Well, if the price of tulips, if you believe the price of tulips is going to go up, then when you get to 6 months down the road, tulips are selling for a £5, you can buy them for 3 quid and make 2 quid if you want to sell them on, or grow them, enjoy them, and realise, you know, and know that you paid cheaper for them than anybody else did at that time. So that's what's in it for the buyer, and that's what's in it for the seller in a futures contract. So what happened? So, much like Reddit of the day, people started saying, oh, there's a new breed of tulip or this, and people started talking about tulips. So the price, the futures price of tulips went up ever so slightly. And because it went up, more people got interested in it and started jumping in and jumping in and jumping in and jumping in. Now the tulips didn't change, nothing got better, there was nothing about the tulip that was special other than people's perception of the value of that tulip. So, the more people that got into it, the more the price went up. The more the price went up, the more people got into it. And that is the greater fool theory. So what that means is, if you're watching this video and you own Dogecoin, you, in my opinion, are part of the greater fool theory. And what that says is, if you're honest with yourself, you haven't bought the Dogecoin for any other reason than you think that somebody in the future will buy your Dogecoin off you for more than you paid for it. That's the only reason you bought it. Not because it cures any disease, not because you think it's got any practical purpose, not because you ever intend using it, for one reason. You believe that somebody will pay you more than you paid for it in the future. So you buy it today for 10p, you think that in the future somebody might buy it off you for 20p, 30p, a pound, and that's the only reason you bought it. That is the greater fool theory. You believe there's a greater fool than you who will pay you more than you paid for it in the future. And the guy who buys it off you, so let's say you're right, and you buy it at 10p, knowing or thinking that somebody's going to buy it for more in the future, and the future comes, so it's now today, and it's worth a pound. The guy who pays you a pound for it is doing so for no other reason than he believes somebody will buy them off him for more than a pound in the future. He believes there's a greater fool than him. And he might be right. And in the 6 months comes down the line, a year, whatever it is, a day, an hour, and a guy comes along and says, I'll give you £10 for your Dogecoin. For no other reason than he believes that he will be able to sell it. And that is the greater fool theory. You own Doge because you believe there's a greater fool than you out there. And because you believe that, you buy into it. And so does everybody else, and the price goes up and the price goes up. However, it always comes to an end. So don't be the last person to buy the coin, because then you will be the greatest fool. What then happens? When, to make it really obvious as an example, let's say Dogecoin goes to £1 million tonight. Everybody wakes up in the morning and starts selling, but there's no buyers. And all of a sudden, the minute there's no buyers, you drop your price. So you say, well, I'll take 900 grand a coin. And then I say, well, I'll take 800 grand a coin. I'll take 700 grand a coin. I pay 20p. I'm happy to take a quid. What happens? It goes up and up and up and up. And then overnight, bang, it crashes down. And you've sold your house for £1 million, and you've taken all that money and you've put it into Dogecoin to double it. And now you've lost everything. And this really happened. It's happened loads of times in loads of different countries all around the world. And man seems to make the same mistake over and over and over again. And this time it's going to be different. And Dogecoin's got some real... No, nonsense. It's the exact same thing, in my opinion, as the tulip mania. Just to show you how mental it went, by the way. On the 12th of November, you could buy one tulip bulb for 3 guilders. 3 months later, the same tulip bulb would have cost you 4,200 guilders. 3 months after that, you could have bought the same tulip bulb for 2 guilders. And just to put this in context, well, that's all very well and good, Max, but how much is 4,200 guilders in today's money? Well, to give you some sort of example, it was the average wage at the time was about 300 guilders. So to put that in today's money, the average wage in the UK is, say, 25 grand a year. So it started off, when the mania hit its peak, it was 4,200 and 300 was the average wage. So it was about 12 to 15 times the average wage, or in today's money, that's £250,000 to £300,000 per tulip bulb. So they went from being a couple of quid, a five or a tenner, to being £250,000 in 3 months, and then back down to 2 guilders, back to normal in another 3 months. And that's the tulip mania of 1637 to 1638. And it was backed by nothing else than people believing if they bought this tulip bulb for £100,000, they could sell it tomorrow for £110,000. These guys weren't even getting the coins. At least you know, people who were buying the coins are getting the coins. This was on futures contracts with tulips. They never even actually got the bulbs. They were literally just buying the tulip bulb in 6 months' time. I'll pay you in 6 months, 100 grand, giving them money, and I get that tulip bulb in 6 months. Turning around tomorrow and saying, I've got a tulip bulb on order, and you can have my option to buy it in the future for 110,000. Yep, I'll have it. And then he gives 110,000. I've just made 10 grand profit on a bulb I haven't even got yet. And then that chap takes and says, I've got a tulip bulb that I can buy in 6 months' time for 110,000. You can buy it off me today for 120,000. Yeah, I'll do it. And that's the greater fool theory. And that's what I believe Dogecoin is today. Be careful.